Fujifilm just announced a new GFX camera, the GFX100RF. It's a small and compact fixed lens camera, and we absolutely need to talk about it. I've been following the rumors since day one, and I am really hyped about this camera. It's absolutely wild that they dropped a GFX version of the X100 Before we jump into taking a look at this camera, and of course discussing the new features and function, let's talk about the main specs. Starting with the sensor, this camera has a 102 megapixel sensor, the same exact sensor that is in the GFX100S2. So this means that the new GFX100RF will have the exact same image quality as the GFX100S2, along with the same autofocus features like subject detection for animals, birds, planes, etc. This camera features a leaf shutter system instead of a focal plane shutter system, and that is essentially the reason that this whole camera is able to exist. So this camera features a fixed lens, meaning you cannot swap out the lens with any other GF glass. The lens is a 35mm f4 or a 28mm f3 equivalent if we take into account the crop factor of 0.79. I absolutely love the 28mm lens. It is a perfect focal length. In my opinion, it's just a little bit nicer than the standard 35mm. You just get a bit more in your frame. So this camera does not have IBIS. I know, it's pretty wild, but it doesn't seem like they could fit it into that package and keep it as small. I don't know if this is gonna be a detriment or not. I will absolutely be getting my hands on this camera and I will absolutely report back. So this camera weighs in at 1.62 pounds or 735 grams. Overall, it's decently light for the size. The X100 weighs in at 1.1 pounds, 521 grams. So it's really just a little bit heavier than that, which is pretty impressive that they were able to achieve that. The GFX100RF is also lighter than the GFX100S2, and we're talking straight up just the GFX100S2 body. And lastly, the battery. This camera accepts the NPW235 battery, the same battery that is in the GFX100S, 100S2, 102, XH2, XH2S, XT5. It's the modern battery that is in all of the latest cameras except the X100. With all that being said, let's jump into what this camera looks like. So starting with the front, a couple of differences from the X100. In the center, we have no flash, which is cool by me. And this is a digital EVF, so we have nothing on this side for the rangefinder. We also have this lever and button combo. I believe this lever, which can go this way or this way, I believe it has a soft and a hard push, which is kind of cool. Not 100% sure on that. And this button here is absolutely fantastic. It's a custom programmable button. For me, I use it for recipes. It just allows you to quickly press it and swap between them. This is the new digital Tele-Converter level, which will help you crop and take advantage of all these megapixels, allowing you to punch in. This texture here looks about the exact same as the X100. And one cool feature on the black model, which in my opinion looks pretty cool, but I'm also a little biased here, they actually colored the eyelets. Small feature, but you know, small features are what makes and breaks it. I think this black model looks absolutely incredible. And then moving on to the back, starting with the screen. So this screen, it articulates just horizontally. It does not go vertically like the GFX, like the XT5. It's kind of unfortunate. I know this screen is a new addition because to the X100 as the X100V did not have this. For the buttons to the right, since this camera is a bit taller, they added an additional button here and they rearranged them. They basically took away the drive button that used to be up here, moved it over here. They just played a lot of musical chairs with these buttons, and it's because they added an additional door on the side. They can't have this switch on here, but we'll get into that. They also upgraded the joystick to the new GFX kind of joystick. This one is a lot nicer than what's on the X100. Q button looks to be the exact same Q button that is on the X100. Nothing there. It's also not a pronounced thumb grip like on the GFX, which is a little unfortunate, but I get it. They are keeping it to the very similar body of X100 series. AEL, AFL buttons in pretty much the exact same spot as is this back wheel. They also moved the focus settings to the top from the side. This is more of the traditional, wheel mechanism that we're used to. Obviously, right smack in the center of the top, we have this new aspect ratio dial. This dial, it doesn't have any indicators on the back. It has the indicators on the top here. We'll get into that when we go to the top. And one note too, the knurl on these knobs seems to be a bit more coarse than on the X100, which is kind of a funny little difference between the two, but I could be wrong on that. Maybe I'm just viewing these a bit zoomed in. Here's it in silver, although again, my vote is for black. Jumping into the top, this looks extremely similar to the X100VI. It's just a bit wider. New logo here for the GFX100RF. In the center, we have that aspect ratio, and obviously as you rotate this, the indicator will change, which is kind of cool that it has a non-digital indicator in addition to the screen changing as well. We obviously have the power switch and the shutter built into one, and it looks like it has a screw input in the middle for a shutter button if you would like. There's also a custom button here. This on the X100VI you could set to pretty much anything. I have mine set to animal eye focus. Just seems to be one function that I always use a lot. Here's it in silver. And one thing to note, if you're not too familiar with the X100VI, lens also changes colors in addition to the body. Nothing too fancy on the bottom. We have a 1/4-inch thread and a battery door, and unlike the X100VI, the only thing that goes in here is the battery. We don't have to worry about the SD card. So one exciting change for this camera from the X100VI is we have 2 SD card slots. Also, the SD cards are behind this door instead of being added into the battery slot. On the right door, we have inputs for audio and a mic, similar to the GFX. And of course, we have USB-C and micro HDMI. And one last note, the way the Fuji was able to pull this whole design off in having a lens be this compact, this is a pancake. But it's a bit of a trick because they basically just shove the lens further into the body. So realistically speaking, this lens goes right up to the sensor, which is here. So now that seems to make a bit more sense. So a lot of you may be asking, why would Fujifilm make this camera? Obviously, the first answer is that they wanted to create a portable GFX that pretty much anyone can use and not be restricted by weight and size of a camera. I did actually add the X100VI to my camera arsenal last December. My main reasoning for getting that camera was because I wanted an ultra portable camera. I wanted to do photography more frequently, and I just wanted a camera that was an everyday carry that I could just bring with me, headed literally anywhere, whether I have a backpack or not. So while the GFX100RF is a bit larger than the X100VI, the camera would pretty much serve the same purpose. If you have a GFX camera, 100S, 100S2, 102, any even older GFX cameras, and you wanted something more portable that you could just bring around pretty much any day, anywhere you go, this is that camera. And while this is a bit larger than the X100VI, it would serve the same purpose, a hyper portable camera, and you're not sacrificing resolution or image quality. Let's talk a little bit more about the new features of this camera. First, a new addition to any Fujifilm camera, the aspect ratio dial. They have a dedicated knob for this like we talked about. You just rotate it, it will display what the ratio is on the top in a physical format. And then of course you can change the settings to either black out the rest of the screen or just have an outline around you showing what the active ratio is. And one really important note about this, to actually use this, you have to shoot RAW and JPEG, or just JPEG. It's gonna actually crop the JPEGs coming out of the camera. If you're just shooting RAW, it's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna actually save the crop in the actual RAW file. The RAW is gonna be unchanged. It is only applying the settings to the JPEG. So I would assume that this is, again, just one of those for the recipes, right? Or the film simulation from Fuji's end. That is really the main purpose of this, for a quick type of edit, straight out of camera stuff. Also new to any Fujifilm camera is the digital Tele-Converter selector lever. Bit of a mouthful. And this, I believe, is gonna work very similarly to the aspect ratio dial. You need to shoot RAW and JPEG or just JPEG in order to utilize this feature. So this has 4 positions. The first position is the lens at 35mm, full 100 megapixels. And then as you move into level 2 is a 45mm, 36mm equivalent. Level 3 is a 63mm or 50mm equivalent. And level 4 is an 80mm or a 63mm equivalent. I think it's pretty cool that Fujifilm based these crops on lenses that are already in their lineup. Moving into the ergonomics, the grip on this camera looks to be the exact same or very similar to the X100VI. It's a very minimal grip. I see a lot of people get a add-on grip for this camera, even for the X-T5s, cameras like that. There are third-party grips that you can buy, or I think even Fuji makes them. I don't find it too small to hold the camera, but I also am not going on extensive photo shoots with my X100VI. Maybe with this camera, if I do pick it up, I could potentially see getting a grip if I wanted to just bring this instead of my whole GFX system. To briefly talk about the actual build and materials, the top piece is milled from a solid piece of aluminum, and then that was a big part in how they were able to actually produce this camera. The dials and bottom plate for the camera and other pieces are precision milled from aluminum as well. These specs are giving me a lot of Apple vibes here. Also, to touch upon accessories for a minute, this camera comes with more than just a battery and a cable in the box. If you've ever purchased an X100RF, you know that it's one of those bare base cameras that you inevitably buy a bunch of accessories to kit it out with. And those accessories are a filter thread adapter, also a UV filter, and this awesome hood. I think this looks pretty awesome. Taking a look at all these different views here. Solid design for sure, as to be expected. And here it is in silver. I think it's pretty cool that they include this. Not really a video person, but just to touch upon it for a second, this camera supports 4K at 30p, 422 10-bit video recording at 30 frames a second. And for the elephant in the room, the price. This camera comes in at about $4,900, just $100 less than the GFX100S2. I bet you that was very intentional, but it's basically a $5,000 camera. So am I going to purchase this camera? I'll tell you what, I am highly interested in this camera. I am absolutely going to get my hands on this camera, do some videos for you guys, initial impressions, an extensive review. I am very interested in seeing how this camera is in real life. One of the worries though is that if I do get this GFX100RF, I'm basically going to kick my X100RF to the curb. Not sure if it would have a purpose after having a portable GFX. But my counter to that is that the X100RF is going to be a bit smaller. I think that there will always be a place for a hyper small camera. So what are your thoughts on this camera? Are you going to pick one up? Are you interested? Let me know. Let's talk in the comments. And if you appreciate me throwing together this video in about one day, hit that subscribe button. There will be more GFX content on the way. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next video.